Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today's video is about teaching your first class. So this is something that is super exciting, super scary, all at the same time. You've been bombarded with information, going through your hiring process, your application process, and now you are ready to teach your first class. You have that booking and you're freaking out a little bit. That's totally fine, totally normal. So I made this video because several people have talked about, being so nervous about their first class and trying to remember everything. So I put everything that you need to know into one video. I encourage you to take notes as I go through these things to help you remember them, maybe put them on a sticky note, so that you feel ready and prepared for your first class. Okay, so if you are new, please please subscribe to my channel. I'm always going to be putting up videos about teaching, in simpler ways, being maybe more of a minimalist and getting back to the basics, and just like good practice is what my channel is all about. And if you are new or if you're thinking about joining VIPKid and becoming a teacher, please use my referral link that I have below, or my code, and I would be happy to be your coach and help you through the application process and get you hired and get you teaching. Okay, so let's start right away. Let's start with the first thing that you should remember to do, and it's something that I say often, is to smile. You need to smile when you're teaching, and you need to smile more than you normally do, because when you don't, it looks like you are very serious, which is fine. You can be a serious teacher, but it doesn't always come across as serious. It comes across as either bored or unengaged. You will see it yourself if you aren't smiling a lot and you watch your class afterwards. You can tell that that your face is just normal and you don't look like you're having fun or are happy to be there. So I'm just going to give you a quick little example. So if I were to say, "Hi John, how are you? How old are you?" "Oh, you are 5 years old. Good. What do you like?" "Okay, chocolate." Okay, let's just say. So, I mean, that was really quickly done, but if I'm going to do the same thing again, but smiling the whole time I'm speaking and asking those questions, it would look more like this. "Hello, John. How are you?" Or, "How old are you?" "Good. You are 5. What do you like?" "Chocolate." Right? So I'm just more alert. I'm showing that I'm really happy to be there with that child and that I want to be there and teaching them. So just putting on that smile makes a huge difference. And then the child feels good too, because they know that they can feel that you want to be there with them. Okay, so the next thing you need to do is to always encourage, right? So if you are asking a question like, "How old are you?" and the child answers, "I am John," or "I am fine." That's happened before. So I would say, "How old are you?" and they say, "I'm fine." And you're like, "Oh, great, you are fine. How old are you? Are you 5 years old or 2?" Right? So you don't want to say, "No, that was wrong," or "No, not how are you, how old," right? Like you want to correct them, but in a positive way. So you just want to keep encouraging them. Reward them for telling you that they are fine. That's great that you know how to say that. Now let's repeat that question and let's try and get that answer that I want, right? So you're smiling and you're encouraging. You're not saying, "Oh, that was wrong," or "No, not how are you, how old are you," right? Like it kind of makes the child feel bad that they understood it wrong. So you just, encourage them, say, "Yeah, that's right, you are fine, super." Smile, be encouraging, be yourself. You probably watched a ton of videos, or maybe you haven't at all, but remember to be yourself. You might think, "Oh, I want to be like that teacher. She's amazing. He's awesome." And then as you're teaching, that is an extra stress to put on yourself to try and remember how that teacher is, or trying to be like that teacher when you yourself are not like that. You know, if you think, oh wow, she's wonderful, she has so much energy, that's really cool, and you need to bring energy, but you might not be able to bring as much as that other teacher, or you might not have the silliness that that other teacher has, but you know, you correct properly, or you are encouraging, or you take your time and really show the child how to create that sentence. Those are all strengths that you have, and there are different parents looking for different teachers. So make sure you are yourself, because there are many parents out there that are looking for a teacher like you. Okay, so don't worry about how other teachers teach. Worry about being the best teacher that you can be. After that, speak slow. If you're teaching level 1, 2, and even 3, make sure that you are not speaking too quickly. If you speak too quickly, you're going to lose them. So speak slow, take your time, say every word individually, don't just say them all together at once, and really let the child absorb the language and absorb the question, and then practice with them. Ask them to repeat 3 times. Now, I say this, but if after 2 times the child, you know, like, it's easy, it's done, you know, they repeated that sentence twice and it wasn't even a struggle, you don't have to push that 3rd time. You're okay. Like, clearly the child gets it. And on the other side of that, if you have done it 3 times and it is such a struggle for the child, you don't have to keep pushing it either. Now, you want to make sure that you try different things to get that child to repeat. So if it's a word, maybe you wrote it on the board, on your whiteboard, so that they can see, oh, that's how we spell it, you know, or you spelled it with them. If it's cat, right, and they're having a hard time, they're saying ket, so you spell it out for them, You might show an apple, So you use different ways, different things to get that child to repeat properly and help them. Don't just, you know, point to your board 3 times, and if they don't get it, well, that's too bad. You know, think of ways to get that child to repeat. Okay, so 3 times, but like I said, if they get it, twice is enough, and if they don't, 3, 4 times is more than enough, and you just keep going with something else. Use your hands, use TPR. So TPR stands for total physical response. If you can get the child to actually mimic you, or to do the hand gestures that you're doing, that is the best thing that you can do. Not all children will, because they're shy or they don't really know what's going on, and that's okay. But if you can get the child to actually, you know, make a cat, they're going to remember that word better, because they actually put emotion to that word. So it really helps them. If you can't get the child to do it, that's okay. You do it. So maybe they remember it visually. So when you are talking about a cat, you know, where is the cat? They're not having to remember, oh, what is cat again? What, you know, what animal is that? You're showing them what it is, right? So it's really, really helpful. It's going to take some time to get used to speaking with your hands if you normally don't, but you will see other teachers as you're watching videos, and that will give you ideas. And then just as you're teaching, you're going to think of your own ways to show them things, you know, like walking. You can just show them like that, they're walking. So there are many different ways to show a word using TPR. Okay, remember to use 3 props. You do need 3 props, because if ever you get a negative feedback, so if you only get 4 apples or 3 apples or less, because the parent feels like you didn't use enough props, well, VIPKid will most likely back you up if you had at least 3 props. If you have less than 3 props, then that's where they will agree with the parent and say, look, you didn't have enough props to help the child understand. So a prop a prop. You have your whiteboard, that's 1 prop. If you're using your phone to show a picture, or like a GIF because it's doing the action of like run or whatever word it is, that's a prop. Just showing pictures on your phone, even though you have 3 pictures, it still counts as 1 prop. So just remember that. Maybe you have a software that will show pictures. Well, that's a prop too. You can use yourself, clothes, or color as a prop. So just remember to use 3 and then you're good to go. If you have more, that's totally fine. Okay, next, rewards. So you need to reward the child as you go through the lesson. VIPKid really wants to see this. So you need to come up with your own reward. You can use the one that's in the lesson, or you can think of your own. So maybe you use something physical, like cookies, and you give them cookies when they do a good job. Or maybe, again, you have a software on your computer that you can use and give them digital stars or anything like that. As long as you're rewarding them throughout the lesson for doing a good job, for participating, even if they're struggling with the words or they're struggling with pronunciation or making sentences, that's okay. You want to reward them, and again, goes with encouraging them. Now, don't forget the stars. The stars are super, super, super important. I see posts about, I forgot to give my students stars. Is it really that important? Or, I ended up only giving 3 stars. Should I really give 5? Yes, you always give 5. Unless something went horribly and terribly wrong, you give 5 stars to your students, because they can then use those 5 stars to buy things on their end. So please give them those 5 stars, and that just shows the student, the parent, that they did well. Even if, like you have a child that's kind of jumping everywhere, it's okay. You can even use the stars to maybe get them to sit and say, hey, if you come back, I'm going to give you a star. And just get them to come back. So yes, always give those 5 stars before you log out. If you happen to forget, you can log back in and give them the 5 stars. Okay, so it's not all lost. Now, watch your time. This is something that's super difficult, even for myself. This is my 3rd year teaching, and I still need to watch my time because I naturally extend. I don't know if it's the teacher in me, but I love to ask more questions or do more things than what is actually on the slide. And then I realized, oh my gosh, I still have so many slides left and only so much time. So really watch your time. So a little trick that I have is that for the lessons, they're usually 28 slides. And the last 2-3 slides are really just, the reminder to do their homework, the goodbye slide, the whiteboard slide. So those don't really count. So really you're down to 25 slides about. So you can pace yourself to 1 minute per slide. Now, I'm not saying to spend a whole minute on a slide, but if you're at 15 minutes, you should be around slide 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, one of those. So, more or less two slides from where your minute is at. So I check in about every 5 minutes. So I look at my time. Oh, I'm at 5 minutes. I'm at slide 7. Excellent. Or maybe, and then again at 10 minutes, I'm at slide 11. Perfect. Because then in the end, I should end up about at 25 minutes at 25 slides, right? So sometimes, some slides take 10 seconds and you're done with, and other slides are, math problems. So they might take a minute, 2 minutes. So that's why I'm saying don't count on a slide a minute, but just time yourself that way. Yes, so watch your time and always finish after 25 minutes. Do not leave the class before 25 minutes. Also, call the firemen. You're allowed. It's totally okay. So we have firemen, and they are the people that help us when we have technical issues, or even if for some reason the child is gone and you don't know why, and you want the firemen to contact the parents to say, hey, tell them to come back. Use them. It's okay. It's not a bad thing. It doesn't mean that you didn't do your job properly, because I've had teachers actually say, oh, I really didn't want to use the firemen. I wanted to figure it out myself. No. You use those firemen. They're there for that. So if you can't see the student, hear the student, or if the student can't hear you or see you, or if there's a terrible connection and you've already switched lines, call them and ask for help. And they're there for that. That is their job, to help us out and to make it a pleasant experience for the students and the parents. All right, I'm almost done. I'm almost there. I know this might seem like a lot, but it's not. I just want to make sure that you have all this information in one video. if it's an assessment, a lot of teachers seem to get assessments as their first class. So an assessment is at the end, in the middle of a unit, so lesson 6, and at the end of it, lesson 12. And that's where you're seeing if the child has learned the material. Now, you do not need to teach the child, but you do need to correct them. So if they get an answer wrong, then you have to correct them and say, oh no, it's not ket, it's cat, right? Cat. And you evaluate them accordingly. But you don't have to go over and teach everything again, especially if it's your first class. You'll get used to pacing, and if you see you have time to actually teach them again, you can. But if not, you just correct them. Now you are going to be looking at more like 40 slides for that lesson. Don't worry, there's a lot of filler slides that just, show you, oh, you're on to the next level, or it's a good job, slide or something like that. So just obviously look at your lesson before you teach it and see that there are a lot of filler slides that take 2 seconds and then they're done, right? I thought I was going to say something else about assessments. Oh yes. If they talk about a project at the beginning, you're going to be doing lesson 12, which is the second assessment, and they should be presenting a project. They're not doing a project with you. Now, some students will come without a project and say they didn't have time or totally forgot. I always let them at least say something about their project and mark them on speaking, but I do give them a 0 on presenting the project because they don't have it, but give them that chance. It's not something that you have to do together because that would take up too much time, and then you don't have time to finish the rest of the questions, and you need to get through all of the questions. So again, get through the whole assessment, and then if you see you have 5 minutes left because the child did so well, then you can go back and teach something or extend on something. It's better to get through it until you're used to your pacing, and have the child answer all those questions instead of correcting or trying to extend throughout the assessment and then being left with 3 unanswered questions. You really want to stay away from that. So finish those assessments. Okay, and then that's it. You're done. You've stayed until at least 25 minutes. You need to write your feedback after class. So your feedback needs to be about what the child did well, what they can work on, so that the parent can see, oh, okay, we still need to work on phonics, or, speaking in complete sentences is something that my child struggles with, so I'm going to work on that with them, so that the parent has an idea. You don't need to summarize the class because they either saw the class or they see what they're doing when they're doing their homework, but really tell them what they did well and what they need to work on. You have 12 hours to leave feedback. If you pass that 12-hour mark, you will get reminders, but if you do pass it, you're only going to get half your pay. And if you pass the 24-hour mark, so now you're a whole day late, you're not going to get paid. So make sure you leave that feedback, and let the parents know how well their child did. And then there's also teacher-to-teacher feedback. Now, you don't have to write anything there if you don't want to, but I always do because I always want to prepare the next teacher for to let them know what the child usually is what they struggled with is what I'm going to leave. I'm going to say, make sure you ask them to repeat in complete sentences, or so-and-so, had a hard time with the short A sound, the ah sound, so that they know what to expect. I just think it's really helpful. So, but again, you don't have to if you don't want to. So there you go. You have, I think, pretty much everything you need to know about your first class and your classes after that. I hope this was helpful. So you have all this information. Like I said, maybe write it down because it is a lot and I know that. But I just figured I'm going to put it all in there. I'm going to give you some examples so that you are ready. You're going to be fine. You're going to be wonderful. Enjoy it. The children are they're just so great. And when you do have a child that's maybe more difficult, you just remind yourself it's 25 minutes. And I'm going to try my best, and I'm going to do my best to make this the best class possible for that child. Okay, so that is it. Thank you for watching, and happy teaching. Bye-bye.